Once again, here we are back at Her Story Potty for Slice Radio. Today we welcome Wiradjuri drag queen Timberlina, or shall I say Tim Jackson. Hi Tim.
Hello, how are ya?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm very good. It's nice and fresh.
Thanks for joining me here today. Timberlina has been gaining. Actually, Tim, do you want to talk about your experience first? How about we start off with what can I expect at a Timberlina drag show?
Oh, depends on the show you're coming to, but a Timberlina drag show, I guess my typical thing is that everyone knows me for is my drag bingo. So that's naughty, I'm quick-witted, I'm over the top, there's lots of dancing, a lot of bingo, and you'll probably see a lot of drunk people, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But Timberlina is like that personality where she's over the top, she's really fun, she gets everyone laughing, and if she hasn't got everyone laughing, she's definitely done something wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I would feel Timberlina is at a show.
Oh, well, I'm going to come along. I can't wait to hear
Yeah,
about what your dates are.
yeah,
It sounds so much fun. So,
it is.
how long have you been doing drag for, Tim?
Oh, I always stuff up these dates, but I believe I'm coming to my sixth year. Um,
Yeah.
so started back in 2017, just off the back of visiting my sister in the US, fell into it by accident. I got pulled up on stage and they were like, "You want to do a dance off?" And then I did the splits, and people started throwing money at me because it was the US. And I was like, "I can make money from this." And I came back and started Timberlina and started my bingo shows. And now we're 6 years in and it's still going very strong.
And you've got some beautiful wigs there.
Yeah, there's only some of them. Um,
Mm,
I should have
they're
probably tidied that
gorgeous.
up.
It's okay. It's
There's so,
beautiful. It's life.
yeah, it
um,
is. And this very much is explaining Timberlina's life, chaos.
whose life is in its stages? Um, and what's the story of a boy who grew up in Gulgong and getting to where you are now?
Yeah. I guess so. I was originally born in Dubbo,
Uh-huh.
then raised in Golgong till I was about 12. So halfway through year six, my parents moved us over to Newcastle,
Mm-hmm.
and I finished year six here and then did all of my high school years here. But growing up in a small country town where I didn't do the norm, I guess, like I was into drama, dance, um, and all of that kind of stuff. I guess I was pretty sporty back in the day. No one would believe me if I said that now. So I was like one of the first boys to ever play netball in the Mudgee comp at the age of 12, and really changing the ground back then with all that kind of stuff. And then moving here, continuing to do dance and drama and all of that. I wanted to be an actor when I grew up, like every small kid's dream. And then I guess I kind of got into that now, doing drag. I guess I'm that kind of acting, but just dressing up in fabulous costumes and amazing hair.
Oh, lovely. Um, well, I think that's beautiful. And um, when you look back to those younger days, can you see anyone that acted as inspiration if you sort of go back from here?
I guess for me, growing up, I my neighbor was like a massive inspiration. Her name's Chloe. So she used to dress me up in all sorts of costumes growing up. And the best story is that when her and my sister were fighting, as young teenage girls do, she used to dress me up as my sister and hang out with me and make me play dolls and stuff. So I guess like for me, it's like takes me back to that when like now I think about it, I'm just like, yeah, I was destined to be a drag queen. So Chloe and she was always teaching me performances, but I was very lucky to be growing up with a house that we got to watch Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
Mm.
So having that being brought up is just like from day dot is the norm, I guess. So the cast of Priscilla is just amazing.
Yeah. Has Chloe ever come to see one of your shows?
Oh yeah, she has. Yeah, she has been to plenty of them,
Good.
and still is literally by my side all the time. So I'm based in Newcastle on a Awabakal land, and she's based on Gadigal land in Sydney. So as soon as I get shows down there, she's like one of the first people to be there. So it's amazing.
Go, Chloe. Love it. Um, and talking about touring and doing shows, you do a lot of regional shows, like touring regional Australia a lot. So, um, you're heading out to the Central West, or I guess you have. And how is drag received in the country?
Yeah, I guess that's my number one question, really. They're like, you do a lot of regional shows, how do people take it? And I can tell you that the country folk love it probably more than the city folk. I have the best following out west. So I guess from day dot when I started doing drag, and then I had made the decision to be like, I'm going to tour with this, it was always that I went back to regional towns and showcased that if anyone saw me, they can be who they want to be. Because I never had that kind of person growing up where you'd never see a drag queen walk through the streets of Goulburn growing up. So for me, I can now go back to Goulburn, walk through the streets of the drag queen. And if there's a kid that out there that's just like, oh, um, that's a beautiful woman, and then hopefully their parents explain what type of person I am. I'm a drag performer, or if when they're growing up, they'll be like, I remember seeing someone like that. And I think that's the thing that's most important to me is that I can take it to regional towns and get people talking about it, but also during my shows, it's a great way to educate people in a humorous way. People don't realize they're getting educated while at a show, but they get that. So regional towns, they love it. And most of the shows sell out all the time. So you can tell that
Fantastic.
there's people out there that want it and need it. And yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. Does it help? As you were saying, a boy or girl, or they could see you walking down the street dressed as a drag queen. Does it help with educating about queer stigmas as well, in just general?
Yeah, I guess for me with my shows, I am constantly like educating the adults with that kind of stuff. So it would be like
Yeah.
I would introduce myself on stage and I'd be like, hi, I'm Timberlina. My pronouns are she, her. And it's just those small things that are starting to make a difference. But just by introducing yourself and using your pronouns, or um, if someone is then like on stage or they're passing you and they use the wrong pronouns, you just explain that like in drag it's she, her, out of drag it's he, him. And sometimes that then like automatically gets them thinking about questions. And I guess I also have a very open book policy at my shows where people can always ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I'd rather you ask a question and get educated than not.
Oh, lovely. That's beautiful. And it
Yeah.
seems like, given your following, that um, that people are happy to learn, which is great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up in Orange, so not too far down the road.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to know that that the that stereotypes and that sort of thing can be um that they don't have to be the same as every, like, the so you sort of get that stereotype of the countryman, um sort of afraid of anyone gay, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's
I probably I have the best story for this. Now that you brought that up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I did shows all the time in parks. And I've recently just moved the show to Forbes, which is right next to each other if anyone's out there and they're very confused. But parks, I had this couple come. It was a husband and wife team, and I walked in, I was like, oh, he's like a farmer, and I don't know how he's going to take this show. Like, I was kind of worried. I was like, oh no. And they were sitting like right in the front row, and I was like, ooh. And it was like right smack bang in the middle of the drought. So, like, farmers weren't having the best time already. So I was like, oh no, he's not going to deal with this very well. And by the end of the show, he was laughing, he was getting into the show. He came up to me at the end of the show and he was like, "Thank you so much for that. I haven't laughed that hard in years." And to watch from when I first walked in with his reaction being like, "Oh God, I don't know where I'm at," to like him leaving, loving the show and having a good time. And I think that's also a great way for me doing my show is out there, is that I break down that persona of like, I feel like people have with us is like, oh, a drag queen just wants to sleep with every person. I feel like that's the main thing. And it's just like, no, we're here to entertain you and do our show. And once they get past that and they realize that we're just putting on a show and it's a fun show and they get involved, they then realize that it's just like, oh, this is actually fun. So yeah, those country fellas, once they come to a show and know that it's a bit of a laugh and fun, they love it. And you just throw a poo joke in there and they even love it more.
um uh, love it. And now, Tim, you also can we take a sec to focus on your heritage?
Yeah.
You are First Nations Australian.
Yeah.
And how is it a different scene again or a different industry for First Nations drag queens?
Yeah, so First Nations drag performers, I guess we're a minority within a minority.
Yeah.
Um, so we're always trying to fight for those roles of that leading role of a drag performer or stuff. But I guess for me, we're so lucky that we have um, Miscellaneous and Marzipan, who started a competition called um, Miss First Nations, and they um, they bought this company that was a pageant for queens, and then their first pageant they wanted to do was for all First Nations queens, and that's what they did in Darwin. Like I believe it was 2017 or 2018, and it really put on a platform for First Nations performers and queens in particular. They had a documentary called The Black Divas, which I believe you can stream on SBS or ABC. And it shows the journey of how they did that competition. And then I competed in 28, yeah, it must have been 2017, the first one, 2018, the second one in Sydney. And then they moved down to Sydney for 2 seasons. And just recently, they brought it back for Sydney World Pride, where it was the Supreme Queen. So all the winners came back. And then I was the people's choice to get back into the competition. And they've
Congratulations.
really put a platform, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
And they've really put that platform out there for First Nations performers and really opened their eyes to like everyone that's like producers, promoters, to make sure they are booking First Nations performers, sister girls, brother boys. Um, so I guess for me, it's like so important to educate up and coming performers as well. So I have an agency here in Newcastle where I have other performers working on my books, and um, they have now been trained that they have to do acknowledgement of country before any show that they do, no matter what show they are doing, where they are. They have to acknowledge the land they're on, and making those small changes to their mindset of why they're doing it and everything like that. And they um, believe it. And now they go to shows where they don't do acknowledgement of country before a performance, and then they'll quietly educate that person on why they should be doing it, which is these small changes that we're doing, but it's because we have these people before us making major changes. So I guess we're really getting ourselves out there and putting ourselves on the map as First Nations performers, which is amazing, but we're still got a long way to go.
Mm. Yes. Yes, I agree. But as as you say, um, as the people before us have made sacrifices and stood for things, and now you're training, so we can think of the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. The next generation.
um, yeah, talking about the comp, that goes back on some research I was doing. You had and doing the splits, you had the most epic outfit on. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about your outfits for the comp?
Yeah, of course. So I was the People's Choice winner to get back into the comp. So that means they put out a voting system, and you had to get everyone to vote for you, and the person with the most votes won. And I was lucky enough to be put back in to that competition. And one of the major components of the competition is a national costume. So however you identify that as your thing. So it could have just been something from your mob, or however you want to interpret national costume, um, is how you do this one. And that's like the first one. So in your national costume, you'll do the media call and Miss Photogenic on one day, and then you'll wear that same one the first night of the competition, where you do like a runway walk and you explain a little bit about it. My one, I really wanted to this year level up from the first time I competed. And the first time I competed, I did the Guga, which is the Wiradjuri's totem, which is a goanna. And the first one was like, yeah, like it was cute. I did it, but I really wanted to level it up and make it so it was like amazing and the next level. So I did that, which I was lucky enough to talk to one of my drag performers here in Newcastle, Foxy, and I was like, this is the idea that I have. How can we bring this to life? I think she'd been sewing for just under a year when I took this concept to her. And we end up getting 3,000 individual scales, foam scales, which my parents hand spray painted over 6 hours. I think my dad was almost going to be passing out with the fumes. And then Foxy hand sewed these onto a leotard chaps and like a little jacket. She had 2 months to do it. It all came together. I didn't win the national costume component of it, but I did win Miss Photogenic. And I was so happy with that one. So if I didn't take the crown, I was just happy with Miss Photogenic and I won that. And I'm so lucky now because that costume is currently in an exhibition at Newcastle Museum. It's on display to the 16th of August, I believe, at the
Okay.
Newcastle Museum.
What's the
It's in like a glass cat.
exhibition?
So it's called First. It's
Uh-huh.
all First Nations creatives, and they've taken the spin on it to be. It comes from all different artists and creatives. So there's visual, there's costumes, there's sculptures, there's traditional paintings, there's garments. It's like all different levels of art in this space, and it's called First.
Uh-huh.
So um, it's so stunning. So if you're in Newcastle or planning on visiting Newcastle, check it out. It's at the Newcastle Museum in Honeysuckle.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my God, Foxy, your parents and you all deserve an award. Yeah.
yeah,
Foxy needs
yeah.
one
If you,
too.
she, yeah, I think she was just happy that I won Miss Photogenic, and her mum, like, I took so we've just recently the exhibition opened recently, but Foxy wasn't going to be here for the opening night, and I really wanted to get her to see the outfit because obviously she made it,
Mm.
and she needed to see it on the mannequin to make sure she was happy. and taking her into the museum just before the exhibition opened, and her seeing her art on display was like one of the most amazing things ever. More than like, because I got to wear it, but it was really
Mm.
technically her art that she got to create with my design and bringing it to life. And it was just so amazing because um, a year ago, I don't think she would have even said yes to making it, to then having it on display. So I think it's really cool.
Oh, awesome. And do you
Yeah.
sew yourself?
No. During lockdown, I bought a sewing machine. Have I touched it? No, it's in the
No.
cupboard.
Do you darn a
I think I've used
sock?
it once. No,
Do a
I
sew
couldn't even.
button?
I, I can sew a button back on, but that's it. Like, that's. I need to learn. I do need to learn. One of the costume designers that I do have here in Newcastle, she does sewing lessons, and I was like, I really need to come along.
You hit that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I battle to sew on a button. But that's more time management than anything. I've got this big pile of like things that need to just be altered. Just
yeah,
grows another pillowcase, grows another jacket.
yeah. And then you just don't get to it. Sorry,
Yeah.
busy.
It's
Yeah.
just easy though. Anyway, so well, do you, as well as Foxy, does the sewing teacher does she sew your other outfits as well?
So she she did one of my other ones, which is our
Mm-hmm.
opening performance costumes. And then I have several others. So like you you always have to have like multiple costume designers going at the same time, especially when you're a busy professional. So there's a couple of people here in Newcastle. There's a couple of up and coming seamstresses, which is great because there's not enough of them in the world.
Mm.
So if you can sew and you're listening to this, please DM me. Or not, because you'll probably regret it. So available and what their scope is that they can do. So
Mm.
with the comp, I also did like this full feather headpiece with a massive tail. And a designer here in Newcastle took on that project. And I don't even want to know how long it took them to make it because it scares me a lot. But yeah, I have my designers that I work with quite regularly, which is amazing, but always looking for more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get a flood of you probably will actually get a flood
Yay!
of interest.
Please.
Okay. And what's drag like in Newcastle versus say Sydney?
We're a smaller community,
Hmm.
obviously, because we're not a massive city. Um, we have a lot of performers, though. We're very lucky. They're a lot younger. We do have a few other First Nations performers. That's what I'm trying to get at. So Jojo Zaho, who was on Drag Race, she's based here as well. Shanita, Blake Riley, but Blake Riley's now back in Tamworth area. And then there's actually a lot of us because when I started out doing drag, I started a show called Blush, which is a show where people can get on stage usually for the first time or to rehearse a number that they have been trying to do for years and they get tipped. And that was like one of the main shows here in Newcastle because we just lost our gay bar. That was in 2018, I believe. And I started that show and then we got to see a lot of up and coming performers come through and yeah. So there is heaps of us, surprisingly. We just needed spaces to do them. That's the hardest thing. A lot of us um, have to travel to do our art form or just heavily rely on promoters and producers to book us for shows,
Mm.
um, which is harder because, like, I'm traveling a lot. I don't get the chance to do a lot of producing here in town anymore, but hopefully that will change in the next 12 months.
Okay. Do you have a cat to let out of the bag there?
Oh no, I just no, I don't. But I just want to. I'm slowly building my team here in the office, so I can then take on more of a producer role and being able to get back into that and producing
Mm,
shows and making them happen, rather than just doing my bookings and then I'll go and do those bookings, so I can
mm.
have somebody else doing the bookings and I can produce and um get all that
Lovely.
happening.
Build the
Yeah,
empire.
yeah.
And finally, Rainbow Story Time. Can you tell me
Hot
about?
topic.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's do it. Okay, what was
Oh,
the initial idea?
so Rainbow Storytime actually came about through the council. One of the managers, I guess, or directors of the Newcastle City Council libraries reached out to me back in 2018 and was like, "We want to start doing Rainbow Storytime. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Oh, sure. Like, I can do it." I didn't really know what it was about. It was joining their um, children's programming, essentially. And I met with them. They told me the concept, but was where I would read books about diversity and inclusion and then do like nursery rhymes or craft or something along the lines of those. So I went into their programming. Um, and we committed to doing once a month during school terms. And back in 2018, we had our first protest, I guess. So people just don't believe that drag queens should be in front of kids, um, showing them that they can be kind and teaching them about diversity and about that you can be whoever you want to be. And these people that protest us have no idea what goes down in a room with kids and everything like that. So the most amazing thing is that these kids come in with like an open mind and they take it all in. And as everyone who's been around a child before knows how unfiltered they are. And I'll always remember one of my first story times. I was reading, I could get this wrong, but it's The Boy in the Pink Dress. And this little kid just goes, "This book's about you." And I was like, "Oh, I guess so. Yep, that's it." And it's just like, I love it. And then, like, if I'm wearing sequins and we're dancing and the sequins fall off, the kids grab the sequins and they try and give it back like they think I'm going to sew the sequins back on. I'm like, "You can keep those." And it's just like, it creates a space where the kids can be themselves, and to know growing up that they can be whoever they want. If they want to be a mum, a teacher, an artist, a drag queen, a drag king, a drag thing, or they want to be a nurse or anything, they can do whatever they want. But it's more about teaching kids about that diversity side of things, where I read books that um, the kid in the book has two mums or two dads or is brought up by their grandparents. Like, it's all about the different ways that people are brought up, I guess, in the books. It's also teaching kids how to be kind. And um, really, I just hope that the next generation are going to go to school, and if they see any kind of like homophobic bullying, they will cut it down and be like, "That's not right. Don't do that." Because at the end of the day, the adults are teaching the kids all that kind of bullying and stuff. Like, the kids have no idea. Someone has to teach it to them. So if they can come to me for half an hour once a month and they learn something new, I think it's amazing. And like, the thing is that we go through training to go into these roles. It's not like I just turned up one day and was like, "I'm going to read books to kids." Like, you go through the kids programming system, you have to have it working with children's check, you have to have a police check. So it's like, it's not like I'm just rocking up to this session and just reading to them. Yeah. So that's Rainbow Story Time, and I love it. Like, it is one of the most rewarding gigs that I get to do once a month, is go into there and watch the kids come alive and really take in what you're saying. And not only that, but the parents that come along, they have the best time. one grandmother came up to me this week and she was like, "This is the closest thing I've been to a nightclub in years." And I was like, "We're dancing to kids' songs." Like, I don't know. But it was just like, it was just so great to see everyone up and dancing, and the recent news from like the US, and it's funneling down here into Australia where um drag queens shouldn't be in front of kids and stuff. But I don't know where they're doing their research, but they need to dig a little bit deeper or reach out to a drag performer and I'll explain it to them, like
Or come along to
what we're
Rainbow
actually teaching.
Story Time.
Yeah, and like the protesters have no idea. Like the week leading up to Rainbow Story Time here last month, it was probably one of the most hectic times of my life because I was getting DMs, um, horrible DMs, emails. Um, but for me, it was like, you can send these things to me, but you're never going to stop me from doing this program because it's so important because I don't want the kids to end up like you. And that's why it's so important because the kids need to be educated to be kind. Like the biggest thing, and I'm pretty sure everyone that probably listens to this, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what I got brought up with. So
It's a simple rule and you learn it as a kid.
yeah, but these
Still counts.
angry adults are trying to dampen our spark, and they will never put mine out. So I'll
Yeah.
fight to the day I die.
Yeah. There's too much glitter going on. And when
Yeah,
you were saying, think of the kids, like we touched on earlier, you're going to help raise a better generation and next generation and provide a nana disco.
yeah, exactly. So, and the kids love it. Like I have kids now that they come every month and they run in and they try to trick me to read more books and do more dances. I feel like they plan it every month. They're like, how do we get Timberlina to do more? One little girl was like, okay, we'll start with the dance and then you'll do a book. And then you'll dance and book and then dance and book again. I was like, that's a lot more than we usually do every month. She was like, I know. I did it. But it's just so great because they want to be there. They want to be part of um, that environment. And it's so good because the best thing about what's happening at the moment in the world is that we're putting it on a platform where drag performers and drag story time is actually reaching a lot of people that didn't know it was happening. Um, so our story times went from like 50 to 60 sold out in a little room to like now we have to take over the whole library with 150 people. So at the end of the day, we're still
Wow.
winning. Yeah, like
Yeah. Awesome.
it's like thank you for the PR. We've now got it. We've got it out there again because that's what we're getting like pre-COVID, like 100 to 150 people, and then obviously people didn't know it was happening again post-COVID. So now it's just put us back out there on the map again.
Awesome. Now I need to come along to Rainbow Storytime as well. Give
Yeah.
me a
Oh
seat
my
up
God,
the
yes.
front near the craft desk.
Yes. Oh, I need to do more craft.
Yeah. Let's write a list. We can
N-
tick them off
Not
together.
not sewing though. Not sewing.
Sticking Paddle Pop sticks on toilet rolls.
Yes, the fun stuff.
And, I could chat all day, and I promised that I wouldn't take up your whole evening, but um, would you like to do any shout outs? Because you've got a few things coming up. Shall I
Yeah,
switch it over to you?
yeah, I guess mainly follow me on the socials. It's the Timberlina or at the Timberlina on Instagram. Coming up, if it's not sold out already, I never keep up with this kind of stuff. But I'll still plug it. Newcastle Comedy Gala event. Tommy Little is the headliner. But I am making a sneaky appearance and people think I'm doing stand up, which I probably will if they give me a mic, but I'm actually debuting a new talent. I'm actually DJing the event.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm learning to DJ at the moment, so it's really exciting. So that's gonna be at the Newcastle Gala, Comedy Gala, and then I've got like a bunch of brunches I've got my regular bingo shows, but like the best way to keep up with me, so I've got a forever changing schedule. Just head over to my Facebook
Okay.
page. All the events are up there. But I'm
Okay.
around. I'm everywhere. You never
Great.
know where I'll pop up.
Awesome. Awesome and
Yeah.
scary. Um,
Yes.
pizza delivery from Timberlina. We don't really get pizza
Oh my
deliveries
God.
anymore. It's like menu log.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be the funnest thing to film though.
You
That
should
could be
do
like a
that.
content day. Yeah. Like menu log with Timberlina. That's sick.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
just
Put that
adding
on
to
the
the list of
list.
new things. Yeah. So good.
Um, so every time someone comes on this show, Tim, without warning, they get asked for a song dedication. So it's your turn. What song would you like to hear? It could
What
be the
song would
song
I?
you're going to lip sync to in your for your RuPaul audition tape. I don't know.
Oh, what song? Um, oh, this is a hard one.
It is, isn't it?
Um, I feel like because I've listened to so many songs, I'm learning to DJ at the moment. Like that's
Mm,
it's
just one.
just one. Do you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say "We the People" by Electric Fields because it was the song from World Pride this year. It was like their anthem song.
Lovely.
So I feel like
What a good
"We the
touch.
People," yeah, and "We the People."
Love it. You'll hear it on the podcast.
Yes,
And
yay,
so thanks for your time, Tim. I really appreciate it. And let's head along to the comedy gala and more dates on Timberlina, Timberlina, at wherever you can find him, possibly delivering your
yeah,
menu log.
yeah.
All right.
Love.
Well, thanks for your time, Tim. And I'll catch
Thank
up with you
you.
soon. All
Good.
right. It's done.
Easy.
Easy.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. Rainbow Storytime sounds so fun. Tim, you're
It
doing so
is.
much good stuff. This is why I wanted
Yeah,
to
it's
chat.
it's really fun. Also, I'm so glad that you said you're from Orange because you said Golgong correctly because no one ever knows how to pronounce Golgong. They're always like Goolagong.
That's
And you have to like
different.
yeah. I'm like, no, 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 no. So yeah,
That'd be probably
it's good.
why.
Yeah. So thank you.
No
I know that
worries.
was great. If you need me to like re-record anything or anything like that, just let me know as well.
Okay.
Um, so yeah,
I think we did
but
pretty
thank
well.
you.
All
Yeah, it was
right.
great.
No worries. Thanks for making time this late. Really appreciate it.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.